What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another video here at the Postgame Podcast YouTube channel. I'm your host, Marc Price. Wanted to record something really quickly to talk about the recent news that the Indiana Pacers coach, Frank Vogel, wants to have Paul George start and play at power forward. Story came out probably an hour later that George is very reluctant to do that. I don't necessarily blame him, of course, coming off of a pretty catastrophic leg injury 2 years ago, or like a year and a half ago, and then even one minor injury to his legs late last season. The wear and tear over an 82 game season at power forward is pretty strenuous, so I can understand George's reticence. However, I think you can also understand it from Frank Vogel's side, because when you look here at the Pacers roster, you don't see many good big men. You see Jordan Hill, and you see unscanned and will have his face in the game before release Miles Turner, who's a rookie, Jan Mahimny, and then just a lot of kind of flotsam at power forward. There's not many bigs on this team. Two centers, two power forwards, and they're not proven guys. Whereas the team does have a lot of good wings. They have George, Monte Ellis, George Hill, Ronnie Stuckey, C.J. Miles, and then even guys like Chase Budinger, who aren't bad players. So you can see where Volo's coming from, that he wants to have kind of his best five guys on the floor to start and finish games. And George at the power forward allows him to do that. George has a lot of unique skills that at power forward would make him a really useful player. He can be another ball handler with Monte and with George Hill. He can run pick and pops with Monte as the ball handler or George Hill as the ball handler. George himself, Paul George that is, can run pick and roll and pick and pop and be a primary, secondary, or tertiary ball handler. And he's going to have a lot of mismatches out there, as a power forward when they kind of stretch him out. He's pretty tall. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's tall, which helps, of course. He's not a 6'5" or 6'6" small forward out there masquerading as a power forward. The biggest problem they're going to have is on defense and with rebounding, because especially with the injuries that George has had, and especially with the wear and tear that's going to be placed on his body and kind of his lack of size relative to the position, there's just going to be a lot of guys who are going to push him around, and they're going to play bigger teams, and those bigger teams are going to make them pay for playing Paul George at power forward. There's no way around it. Now, Frank Vogel has shown himself to be a pretty interesting coach in that he has usually tried to make his opposition respond to him as opposed to the other way around. So for a while they were going with that twin tower look of Roy Hibbert and David West, and that worked because not a lot of teams were built to handle that inside presence, and they weren't really able to get to the basket and to run the types of offense that they want to run, which then would create situations where the Pacers had a distinct advantage, and that's the thing that Vogel's always trying to come up with. Nice block there by Cody Zeller. And this is one other, this is just another situation. It just so happens that it's with kind of the new face of the franchise, the guy who they want to be there as an all-star, superstar level player for a long time. But he is a guy who just came off of a really, like I said, a really catastrophic leg injury. And it doesn't seem like the wisest thing to do to have him now be banging down low with power forwards. Obviously, as you can see here from the video that we have going on in the background, he definitely has a speed and agility advantage over guys at that position, but the advantage is going to be negated by the fact that when someone on that team misses, Paul George is going to have a little bit of trouble getting rebounds. He's going to have a little bit of trouble with trying to keep guys out of the paint. The Pacers are going to have really no rim protection after having one of the better rim protectors in the league on their team over the past few seasons in Roy Hibbert. Now, there's just not a ton there in terms of rim protection. And that's not great. Going against teams like the Cavs and the Bulls, the Pacers are going to have a hard time with teams like that just because of their size and their strength. But George will be able to score on guys like Tristan Thompson and Pau Gasol and Joakim Noah. Like, that's going to be a problem for teams. It's just how they also react when they're on offense and the Pacers are on defense. So just wanted to give you this short video here to examine some of the upside and downside of playing George at power forward. Of course, while you're using him in either NBA Live 16 or NBA 2K16, which we will be having videos for in the coming days. I'm recording this before 2K16 is actually out. That's why I'm not doing one for that game as well. You're going to want to try to spread teams out with the Pacers now, whereas before you really were trying to pack it into the paint. Now you're going to want to spread teams out. You're going to want to do a lot of motion offense, a lot of using Monte Ellis, Paul George, Rodney Stuckey, and CJ Miles in really interesting ways. I feel like having Miles out there is going to be probably your best bet if you are running with George at the 4, only because Miles gives you a little more shooting than someone like Stuckey, and you already have kind of a non-shooter in Monte Ellis. So you just want as much spacing as possible. It's a different way to think about playing against the Pacers or playing as the Pacers than you really used to have to think about it, because you are looking for space and three-pointers as opposed to, down low, pick and pops with David West, things like that. So it is definitely a bit of a different situation, but the Pacers are going to be a really exciting team in both games this year. They're going to be fun to run up and down the court with. I don't know how well that's going to translate to the actual real-life NBA, but at least in video game basketball, they should be pretty good. So thanks for watching this video. Hope you found it informative and interesting. Please like and subscribe. And get at us, give us some feedback, myself and Corey. Let us know what you think about the new YouTube channel. We have a lot of videos that are out today, some with commentary, some without. So hopefully you'll be able to find stuff that will tickle your fancy. And then in the future, there are going to be many more. I can't promise there's going to be like 6 a day, just because we both have jobs and families, and that's just not always going to be possible. But we're going to try to keep it pretty live on the YouTube channel, pretty live on Switch, so that you guys get a lot of good content. All right? Thanks a lot for watching.